All right, here are steps and tips for practicing intermittent fasting. So let's understand the basics, okay? What is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is a style of fasting where you have timed windows for eating. I also call these timed windows for eating time windows for healing. It's such a healing tradition, a healing way to approach your health. So let's review the basics. There are fasting periods and feeding periods. They mean exactly what you think. A fasting period is a time period during which you are not taking in food. You will stay well hydrated, though. We'll cover that later. You're going to drink water, okay? Plenty of water throughout your fasting time. Then, when you're in a feeding period, that's when you're going to eat your food. And I'll go into more detail in a moment. So, we divide the day into the fasting, also thought of as no eating periods of time, and feeding, also thought of as the eating times of day. All right. So, an example is a 16-hour fasting period followed by an 8-hour feeding window, if that helps you to think about it. So, your feeding window might be, say, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That means that from 6 p.m. through to the next day, 10 a.m., you're not eating, okay? So that gives you a 16-hour overnight fast, for instance. Many people find it easiest to fast overnight while they're asleep. That makes sense, right? Because when you're asleep, you're not eating. By definition, take advantage of it. That makes sense. So the purpose here is that fasting is going to force the body to use stored energy. That's either going to be your blood sugar, also known as glucose, or it's going to be your body fat, excess body fat in this case, to fuel the body. So if you've been struggling at all with a concept called metabolic flexibility, i.e., switching between burning fat versus storing fat, burning blood sugar, storing blood sugar, then fasting is a great way to get you more tuned in to a healthy metabolic flexibility. This boosts insulin sensitivity and decreases insulin resistance, right? So it's going to give you the best of both worlds. You need to have patience if things have gotten out of balance. If you're already healthy and you're enjoying metabolic flexibility, yay for you. If you are struggling, this is something that could be a very helpful healing tool. All right. So if you want to start with intermittent fasting, I suggest you start small. Sometimes we want to go all in and go to the hardest possible extreme. I don't recommend that. Nope. I think for most of us, that's not practical. Instead, start with shorter fasting periods, like say 12 hours, and make sure the 12 hours naturally include your overnight sleeping time. Because, like I said, you'll be asleep, you're already fasting. Take advantage of it. Don't make this hard for yourself, right? And then gradually increase. So, ideally, leave 3 to 4 hours, perhaps 5 hours between dinner and when you go to bed. And then, let's say you sleep 7 or 8 hours overnight. Great. There's your 12 hours. Boom. No problem, right? You can gradually increase from there. Choose your window. Think about your lifestyle, what will really work for you. What are your commitments and obligations? So you want to pick your feeding hours and have those line up with your schedule and your lifestyle. Choose an eating window that makes sense for you along with a fasting window. And if you have any travel coming up, please accommodate it. You can build it right in. Some people find it easier to do this when they're traveling. So think about what can work for you. Now, let's talk about consistency because many people struggle with consistency. One of the lovely things about fasting is it rewards you for consistency, but it's not trying to cause you to suffer, right? So consistency helps, but it isn't mandatory. Flexibility is key. And then also what you want to do is ideally keep in mind what works for one person might not work for another. So you can make this work for you, okay? Envy is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. Do the program that works for you. All right, I just want to encourage you there. Okay, so some more tips for success. Stay hydrated. Don't let yourself get overly thirsty. Keep your water with you, keep water bottles with you, pack them the night before, whatever makes sense for you, but stay hydrated. This will really help in a fasting time. You want to drink plenty of water during the time of fasting so you can stay hydrated. Your entire body needs water. And when you aren't eating, it's probably going to be processing some old cells, some cellular debris in a process called autophagy, spelled Autophagy. And it'll help do spring cleaning, if you want to think of it like that, for your body. That cellular repair and restoration and cleanup. You're going to need water as part of that process. Please, I beg you, no sodas during your feeding window. Don't do it. No diet sodas either. Sometimes when people are fasting, they're like, oh, well, during my eating window, I can eat any old thing. I can drink any old thing. Nope, nope, nope. Don't do it, okay? Now, you might be wondering, well, hey, doc, why no diet sodas? Here's the deal. The artificial sweeteners and fake sugars of the diet sodas, any diet beverage really, tricks your taste buds. Your taste buds on your tongue sense the sweetness, right? And then your brain says, oh, we got sweet coming in. And then now the body goes, well, that means I'm getting calories. And here comes the problem. But as time goes by, your brain realizes that despite the taste buds on the tongue sending sweet signals to the brain, there are no actual calories behind that false, fake sweet flavor. So some people will experience a rebound sense of a false hunger, not a true hunger, a false hunger, and find that they want to eat more to snack. Maybe they're going to break their fasting window, or they're going to dive into things that they know are not healthful for them, and they just cause problems, right? This typically can happen an hour to 90 minutes after drinking a diet soda or a diet beverage. So please notice how this works for you. Some people are far more vulnerable to this than others. It can create a really false and unfortunate struggle around eating when you're supposed to be fasting. So give yourself a chance to be successful. Focus on water. Herbal tea, by the way, without any additives of any kind, just plain old herbal tea, i.e., caffeine-free tea, would be fine. All right, next part of this tip is to ease into it. Sometimes folks get super excited, which is wonderful about fasting. And like I said, they go whole hog, they go all in. Hey, be gentle with yourself. Give yourself a chance to be successful. You want to avoid overeating during your feeding window. When it's time to eat, have reasonable portions. Be thoughtful about what you're eating. Opt for balanced meals, nutritious meals, actual foods, not just some sort of chemical goop put together, but actual food. Don't eat just any old thing. Please avoid that. Focus eating healthy, nourishing meals made from wholesome foods. That'll be the way to win with this. Then also be flexible. This is not a time to be super rigid or say, whoa, whoa, I didn't do all the things. Do as much as you reasonably can. Remember, our motto here is about progress, not perfection. So you can adjust your fasting schedules for a vacation, for maybe business travel or trips, for special events or special occasions without guilt. Make it work for you. All right, what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you find this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to this channel. It would be lovely if you would also share it with others who could benefit from this information. This way you can help me grow the channel and reach others. Thank you so much for helping. All right, let's continue. Now, with fasting, we have to be practical. Today's lifestyles are super busy. Here we are in cortisol nation. Many of us are very stressed and stretched too thin. So, in overcoming challenges, one of them is dealing with hunger. The first few days or so can be quite an adjustment period depending on what your lifestyle is like and what your nutritional patterns have been before you started fasting. So, if you find that you're really hungry, understand that these initial hunger pangs are temporary. They're not going to be forever, and they're often quite manageable. You don't need to suffer, but do give yourself some time to adjust. So if you're used to a pretty much a junk food kind of a diet, or you're the kind of person who just inhales their food, you barely chew it, etc., this might be quite an adjustment. If you're someone who spends a lot of time and energy thinking about food, getting ready for food, anticipating the food, it's going to be an adjustment. So be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself. Recognize that this is a shift and something you're doing on purpose to reclaim, restore, or to maintain your health. It's ideal to distract yourself to be busy in a positive way with activities. You can add in here tea, preferably herbal tea. You can have non-herbal teas that have some caffeine in them or coffee. Just know though that the teas that have caffeine or coffee that of course has caffeine, caffeine can sometimes have a mild effect on our blood sugar levels and might actually gently contribute to feelings of hunger. For some people, coffee suppresses hunger, or black tea, green tea can suppress hunger. So you can try it and see how you respond. People's responses to anything with caffeine, whether it's gentle amounts of caffeine like with green tea, or higher amounts of caffeine like black tea, or big amounts of caffeine like coffee, have different responses. So know that that can be a very bio-individual thing. Obviously, the tea or the coffee needs to be without any added sugars or cream. So no sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no cream. It's going to be plain, right? Plain herbal tea, plain black tea, plain green tea, plain white tea, plain coffee, plain decaf, like whatever you're doing. Please don't add any sugars or artificial sweeteners or cream to it, okay? Have some fun things that you might do. Maybe you have not connected with a friend or a family member in a while. You're going to make that call. You're going to get on a FaceTime or a Zoom or whatever makes sense for you and connect with that person that you care about. Maybe it'll be a time you spend time in your garden. Maybe you're going to go for an extra long walk on a particular trail you haven't enjoyed in a while, etc. Right? Have things to do so that you aren't constantly tempted with food. I would suggest you might want to keep the TV off because the number of ads for food sometimes, at least here in the US, are really amazing. All right. And then another thing to talk about here is just sticking with it. What's your commitment level? Have you committed to yourself? And then you don't want to muscle through, right? You would ideally do this with a group or a community. So build a routine and surround yourself with positive people who are supportive of what you're doing or a community. It could be online, it could be people you know in real life that are in person around you, whatever works for you. But it's really important to be surrounded by folks who understand what you're doing and are supportive of it, even if they don't understand. All right, another thing to consider here are for what I would say are advanced fasting options. One is extended fasting. That's doing fasting for a longer period of time. So if you want bigger, more significant results, you could try fasting for 24, 36, or even 48 hours, but only if comfortable and safe. If you are on any prescription medications, particularly ones that are for blood sugar, if you are injecting insulin, if you are doing anything whatsoever that directly affects your blood sugar levels and insulin responses, please get some professional help. Make sure the licensed medical or health professional who has prescribed your medications knows what you're doing and understand that perhaps during your fast you might need to make adjustments so that you stay safe. You are the one who is responsible for your health. You must take this seriously and not make changes without professional guidance. And if you do it or you don't do it, either way, you have to take responsibility for the outcomes, all right? Because you're the one that's going to be living with it. I want to be really clear about that. Consider medical supervision. For some people, if they have a complex health situation, it might be smart to have a healthcare provider that you've consulted with before attempting any extended fasts and perhaps being in a special center to be monitored. That might be needed. Then again, you might not need all that. It just depends. But please do check in with whoever it is has your complete health history for your own safety, especially if you're managing a condition like diabetes and looking to make some improvements in your health. Fasting can be a wonderful thing, but in today's world, we definitely have more complexity. So please check on what makes sense for you. Finally, you want to be able to build fasting into your life, right? To incorporate fasting into your life. So you want to simplify your meal planning. Perhaps instead of having a 7-course meal at home, hey, you're going to have one amazing healthy meal. Maybe you'll have 2 meals during your eating window. That's fine. Totally fine. But overall, fasting will save you time because it reduces the number of meals that you need to prepare, eat, think about, shop for, prep for, clean up from, all the things, right? It really does simplify life. And finally, take advantage, leverage this simplicity that's implicit, that's built in to fasting. There's no need for any special foods or calorie counting or fancy apps or tech gizmos, right? You follow your schedule. And then you look at your results. You want to see if it helps improve your mood. Maybe you get rid of brain fog and body aches. Maybe you find your blood sugar is much more stable. Perhaps you find that your weight is starting to make sense. You've got metabolic flexibility coming back, which means you can easily switch between fat burning and fat storage mode instead of being stuck potentially in fat storage mode, etc. There's all kinds of benefits from fasting, but it is meant to be simple, not complicated, okay? All right, so what are your thoughts, friends? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you find this video helpful, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Kindly share it with others as well. This way, all of these things together can help me grow this channel and reach others with this information. I look forward to seeing you back on this channel. Thank you so much. Please take great care of yourself and keep this in mind. Self-care is not selfish. All of this is about progress, not perfection.